path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it.
You can be asking for assignments that are above your level. So there's work that you do at your level, and then there's work that you do above your level. And the only way that you're going to be promoted to do work above your level is A, if you can demonstrate that you're capable of doing the work at your level, and B, if you are proactive in seeking out opportunities that expand your capability and give you a chance to work above the level that you're at.
The way through the challenge is to get still and ask yourself, what is the next right move? And then from that space, make the next right move and the next right move, and not to be overwhelmed by it, because you know your life is bigger than that one moment. You know you're not defined by what somebody says is a failure for you, because failure is just there to point you in a different direction.
Nothing's going to happen unless you take that initial action. Nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to change unless you put down that pen in the meeting and you sit up and you pay attention and you listen for your opportunity to speak. Nothing's going to happen unless you push yourself to go in and make the ask for that assignment that scares you to death.
My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
But if you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, if you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will and say, in spite of this, I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back, and I'll be stronger and better because of it. You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it, and you're going to go all out to have it.
My philosophy was a very simple one. And this is where I think film plays a big part of my life. Rudy was one of my favorite films growing up. After watching that film, I come to understand if I could work that hard every day, with being blessed with the physical tools that I have, what would my career be? And I made a promise to myself from that day that I was going to work that hard every single day, so that when I do retire, I have no regrets. And that was the most important thing for me, is to leave no stone unturned, get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. And that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day and do that for 20 years, what do you have?
Select a person who is already doing something that you'd like to do. Get to know that person.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the experts for advice. Don't ask the person next door, your mother, father, brother, or the guy that works beside you, because they don't necessarily know. There's no point in asking a person how to earn a lot of money if they're only earning $10,000 a year. They don't know. If they knew, they'd probably be earning a lot. It's like, don't go to a sick doctor if you want to get healthy.
Okay.
So you find someone that you can go to for advice. Get a real good book and lock into that book and start to study it. Like, I've had this one that looks like a Bible, But this is Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading this thing now for 23 years. I'll probably read it for another 23 years. I get another good book that I brought over here today. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Now, I'm not getting a commission for selling this. The author's dead now. He's been gone for a couple of years. But Dr. Joseph Murphy wrote this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And that's probably one of the best books that you're ever going to find, because you're going to learn something about your mind when you read this book. Okay. Now, I read a lot of books. I've got probably 1,000 books sitting in my den at home in my library. But the one that I carry it everywhere I go, and I read it all the time, is Think and Grow Rich. I never stop reading it.
Where's the value for you to reread that? Read it again? You must you must know it well enough that...
I think I could probably recite it verbatim. But the secret is, I once read in a book where it said, when you read a good book through the second time, you don't see something in it that you didn't see before. You see something in yourself that wasn't there before. You see, when I read this, I create a greater awareness.
Bow too tightly strung is easily broken, says one of the Proverbs. Balance is a gorgeous thing. So be monomaniacal in your execution around your high-value targets, your HVTs, your mission plan, but also build in some rewards. And that's going to send a gorgeous message to your conscious and your subconscious mind that, hey, this daily practice of execution around my deliverables is a beautiful thing. And you create this thing called momentum. And the monk who sold his Ferrari, I went back and I saw this recently. I think there's a whole chapter on momentum. And you become like this. I love skiing. You start off small, but as you go down the slope, you pick up momentum. A lot of people say, Robin, where do I start? I want to start a new business. I want to become a better artist. I want to find the love of my life. I want to be a world-class creative. I want to multiply my financial life. Where do I start? You just start. You just start. There's great power in the start. And when you start, life starts supporting you.
First and foremost, you need something bigger than you to be inspired about. I think we're all born with a deep and meaningful purpose that we have to discover. Your purpose in life is not something you need to make up. It's already there. You just need to discover it. That means to take the cover off of what's already there. And when you do, when you really discover what you're meant to do, it will be the reason you get up in the morning. Prior to discovering your life purpose, it's easy to become sidetracked or feel uninspired or feel like you've accomplished very little in life. But what if these feelings are simply feedback that you need to keep going, keep searching until you discover? And what if it's the universe reminding us not to settle for mediocrity, to continue experimenting for the one thing that lights you up? I also believe we're all born with a set of talents and interests that tell us what we're supposed to be doing. Lots of times they come so naturally to us, we overlook them. We think finding our purpose is supposed to be more profound or difficult, but what if it's right in front of you the whole time? Think about it. Have you ever wanted to study something that you loved, but the more logical route was to do what your parents or teachers or friends thought you should do? Well, maybe you wanted to be a potter or a musician or an artist, but ended up in business school because it was logical or sensible. If so, you're not alone. You're just off track. Maybe you really are meant to be a potter.
As soon as we got tougher, as soon as we got less PC, as soon as we got that we didn't care what they said or thought about us, we got more successful. And we started doing deals. You cannot do, a lot of transactions without hurting feelings. The old saying about to make an omelet, you got to break eggs. And everybody that's ever had an omelet, there's normally some kind of eggshell in it because they can't get all the eggshell out. Collateral damage. Fred Smith, the founder of Federal Express, said, and he's similar background, similar age. He was a young Marine officer. I was a young Army officer. He said when he came back from Vietnam, as soon as he realized his mistakes, the collateral damage of his mistakes did not end up with body bags, meaning dead people. He says the rest was easy. So the worst I was ever going to do is hurt somebody's feelings, make them cry. And he built Federal Express, and he's one of the icons of business who's still running the business.
Let me teach you something. How many of you have a dog? How many of you have ever had a dog that had a flea on it? That's everybody. You ever seen a flea? One of the smallest insects. Really small. One of the smallest insects. But for his height and size, and flea has the highest vertical leap in nature for an insect. A flea can jump, has a 36-inch vertical. A flea, man, can come 36 inches off the ground. His vertical is 36. The average person can't do that. But a flea can jump 36 inches off the ground. If you capture the flea and you put him in a mayonnaise jar and you put the lid on it, the flea know one thing. I got a 36-inch vertical. So here he go. He started jumping. But he gonna hit himself on that lid because he got that lid on it. But after a while, after getting knocked down so many times, the flea makes an adjustment. So now the flea only jumps just to where he don't get knocked back down. He got 36 vertical, but since this lid is on, his environment got him now jumping nowhere near what he can. Capture some more fleas and put them in there. They got 36 vertical, but then they start jumping. They find out they keep getting knocked down. They start doing what the other fleas is doing. Next thing you know, got a jar full of fleas in there, ain't even using a 36-inch vertical because they got a lid on the jar. Them fleas have babies. Them babies is born into the conditions of the environment. So now guess what? The flea is born with a 36-inch vertical, but because he see his mommy and daddy and all his cousins and friends jumping just barely to the roof, you know what he do? He duplicates that behavior. The flea never reaches his potential until you take the top off of your mayonnaise jar. You're gonna duplicate your surroundings. If you take an oak tree seed and you put it in a 2-foot pot, that seed will never become the oak tree that oak trees are capable of becoming because it's gonna get stifled by the 2-foot pot. Now check this out. Ain't nothing wrong with the seed. The seed just fell prey to the environment. You are a seed from God. God made you in his likeness. He big, he vast. Don't you allow your environment to dictate the oak tree that you become. Because ain't nothing wrong with your seed. All of y'all got this wonderful gift that he gave you at birth. All y'all got one. You better believe that now. Don't die with this gift and don't never use it. All of y'all got this wonderful gift, but you got to use it. Take your seed, take your gift. Get away from these people that's in your life that ain't doing nothing. Get away from people in your life that's hating. Get away from your family members that ain't ever opened a business. Get away from your family members that ain't ever followed their dreams. Get away from your family members ain't never been nowhere but to the family reunion. Ain't never been to a beach. Get away from them. Get away from them. I had to do it. When I told everybody I was getting into comedy, man, oh, Lord have mercy. You can't get into comedy. You ain't even funny. How you gonna make money telling jokes? Now, in the beginning, it looked like they was right, but I never gave up. All I did was identify this gift. I worked. I wrote all of my visions down. I read them every morning and every night. And I instilled them in my head. And every time I met somebody, they say, hey man, what you trying to do? I would tell them one of my visions. Somebody would always say to me, you know, I know a guy that's selling them things right there. You ought to talk to him. I started scratching stuff off my vision board. My vision board is so vast now. If I showed you what was on it, you wouldn't even believe it. Because I dream so big. I want so big because the God I serve is big. He's not a small God. He's a really, really big God. He does really, really big stuff. And I expect him to do really, really big stuff for me. If he'd have done it for Oprah, if he'd have done it for the Obamas, whoever why I can't have this here? I'm going to do better with it than all of them. To me, but why you can't have that? That's how you get what you want in life now. You don't have to believe me, but here's the deal. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. If I just told you a different way to go about it, you don't need no money. I just gave you some scriptures you could try and some principles. If somebody who had come from the bottom and got to this position I'm in told me that this is the way I would try it, if I was you, I would try that. I bet you it'll work, though.
What's the potential of any human being? You tell me, quick. Unlimited. Do most people's results reflect that true potential, yes or no? No way. Why? Because most people aren't taking enough what? But is it possible to take a lot of action and still get lousy results? What if you got a salesman that works for you and they walk out and they knock on 100 doors and they say, you wouldn't want to buy anything from me, would you? Or they don't say that verbally, but they say it non-verbally. Is that going to affect their results? Yes or no? So it's not enough even to take enough action, because when we believe it's not going to work or we're uncertain, does that affect how much of our potential we tap? Yes or no? See, if you don't think it's going to work, you're not going to put out a bunch of your energy when you think it's going to fail. And by the way, when you're not sure, you tap little potential. Do you take little or a lot of action? When you're not sure, when you think it's not going to work, do you take massive action or little action? Now, when you take little potential with little action, what kind of results do you get? Little lousy results. And when you get lousy results, what does that do to your belief? You go, see, I told you it wasn't going to work. Told you it was a waste of time. And then, by the way, when you have less belief, how much more potential do you take? More or less? If it's possible, you tap less potential, more or less action. Less. And what happens to your results? They get even what? And now they got worse results. What's that do to your belief? And by the way, now you see the current economy. Isn't it true? Everybody out there is going, oh my God, the results are so bad, it's going to get worse in the future. So I better pull in my horns. There's less potential. So I'm not going to push as hard. I'm not going to take much action. Oh my God, I'm getting lousy results with little potential action. Oh my God, it's going to get worse. That's what creates a recession, depression, whatever you want to call it. How do you change that? By the way, can it work the opposite direction? What would happen if something inside you gave you so much certainty inside of you that you felt absolutely certain that recession was your friend? That the worst economy for you was the greatest time on earth. That all you got to do is manage your state and apply your fundamentals and immerse, stay coached so you don't get off the target, keep taking action, and you can own your business and you go to other people's businesses.
Make sure that you know exactly what you have to do to take advantage of the opportunity when it comes your way. Let's say that one of the top priorities on your career list of goals is to get this new client. Let's take it one step further to say that on your resource list for this goal is to have a lunch meeting with a friend who just happens to be the mentor of the client you're going after. Is this friend of yours a sure bet on your resource list? Well, let's say he is. I mean, you know this guy is a tremendous consulting source for the client you want. The client you want really listens to the opinions and advice of your friend. So you're getting ready to have lunch with your friend. What do? You've got to make sure that you're up on all the knowledge and the industry data that will impress your friend. Make him realize that he knows someone who could benefit from your knowledge and your vitality and your spirit and your experience. Impress him. Impress him so much that he goes back to his friend, the client you're after, and tells this prospective client of yours that he needs to do business with you. Be prepared. Go through your entire list of goals and resources and classify them. Break each resource into concrete steps of preparation. Start by working on the sure bets first, and then move down the line. The long shots will come through every so often, but start with the resources that will serve you best now. Get ready for the opportunities before they come your way. Step 3 in the self-preparation method is to do all you can to make each opportunity more likely to happen. After you've determined what you have to do to get ready, to be prepared, after you've determined this, see what you can do to expedite the process.
And my mama said, what you doing back there? And I'm just giving him some cookies, Mamie. And she said, here you are, Leslie. Even though you're a bad little boy, I brought you some cookies. So cookie people are people who, even when you are bad, even when you are not being who you really are, they look beyond your faults and see your needs. Even if you're a moody person and curse them out and dog about sometimes, these cookie people love you unconditionally. How many of you have ever had cookie people in your life? All right. So we all have had cookie people that the universe has put in our lives to contribute to us. The other people are the chicken soup people. Chicken soup people are people that you can call at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I got a flat tire, will you come help me? Or my battery is not running, would you come give me a jump? Or I need some help, would you come get me out of jail? If you don't have some chicken soup people in your life, you better get some. But these are people that you can always call on to help you out. So I'm encouraging you to give a letter of appreciation to some of the cookie people in your life. Some of them might have already made that transition. Write some letters to some people who were a leg up for you, some people who contributed to you being who you are. And just say, I was just thinking over the years, I know you know I love you and appreciate everything you've been to me, but I just wanted to drop you this letter. How do you think they'll feel if they get that? Just out of nowhere, just want to thank you for how you have enriched my life. You might not have thought much of it, but because of the help and assistance you gave me on that particular day, that was a turning point in my life. Why should we give? Well, giving creates a vacuum. And as we know, nature abhors a vacuum. See, when you give, you create a vacuum. You are now in a position to receive. See, if I have my arms closed, holding on to everything I've got, nothing is available to come in. But if I'm open, if I've created a vacuum there, by giving and keeping the flow going, the stuff in the universe is going to come back to me, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to come back. Whatever you give, whenever I go into a room and give a speech to inspire people, to help them to develop their greatness, if you get 10% of what I get, because as Bach says, we teach that which we need most. We need most. We need most. We need most. We need most.